Now that we're back in the session, let's see what we can do with identify beat. So to give myself a little bit of screen real estate, I'm going to close some of these columns. I'm option clicking to close these columns. And then if I come over to the tracks list, you can see the cursor go vertical, and I'll double click and that'll close the tracks list. And then over here, I'll double click and close the clips list. And then I'll hit option A. This just opens up my session a little bit for me, gives me some extra real estate. I want to make sure, again, link timeline and edit selection, link track and edit selection are enabled. I want my insertion follows playback disabled. I want to make sure that the conductor is enabled. My metronome is enabled. And also, I want to make sure that I have loop playback enabled. Then I'll go over here to my ruler view selector, show my tempo ruler, my meter, and my key. Remember to review your PDFs for what you need to submit and what your screenshots need to look like, because there's some details in here that you're going to have to go back into the documents and put into your remix. So I've got my ruler views. My click is in the session here, so I'll just go ahead and hide that. I'm starting at bar 1, and I'm going to play the session. Click doesn't lock. So I'll disable the metronome. Now we're going to start talking about the tempo mapping. What we're doing is we're going to adjust the click to the tempo of the audio. So as we're going through this, we are not manipulating the audio. All we're doing is adjusting the click track. We're adjusting the session tempo. We're conforming the session tempo to the tempo of the recorded audio. Right now, I've got my stems starting at bar 1. In a minute here, we're going to move these to bar 3, but for now, we're going to look at this from bar 1. I'm going to go down here to the tracks list. I'm not going to focus on the tracks list, though. I'm going to look down here in this groups list. There's always an all group in the session when you create it. So I'll click that. And now when I click on a clip, all the clips get selected. So when I do need to move these, they're all locked together. For now, what I'm going to do is hit return. I'm going to hit T to zoom in. And I'm going to count the first 4 bars. There's a downbeat at the beginning of this session. And so I'm going to count from the downbeat, and I'm going to count 4 bars. Remember, I've got my metronome turned off. So hit return. Let me count it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4. Boom. So bar 9 is on the downbeat. Remember, the way I'm looking at it now, I am going to move these in just a second. So bar 9 falls right about here. This button is called Tab to Transient, and when I hit the Tab key, I can tab to the transient in a clip, or the transients in a clip. So I'm in slip mode here. I'll take my selector tool and just click around this area. I'm just clicking around this area, and I'm going to listen for that downbeat. That last. So when she says last, that's the downbeat. So I'll hit Tab. That's good. I'm going to select from this point to the front of the session. So I'm going to hit Shift Return. Now, think back to the first Identify Beat video. There was a selection. It was a loop, but we had a selection that went from the beginning of the clip to the end of the clip. So this selection goes from the beginning of the clips to the point where I tabbed to transient. I'm going to listen to this now, and I'm going to make sure that it loops clean, that it loops around. Also remembering, insertion file is playback off, loop playback enabled. We're listening for a clean loop back around to bar 1. Four, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8. Loops clean. So let's identify beat. Event, identify beat. Starts at bar 1, correct. Ends at bar 7, beat 4, incorrect. It's 8 bars. The end of bar 8 is bar 9, right? The very end of bar 8 is bar 9. So the end location is bar 9. Now when we look up in these indicators, there's an 8-bar selection. Let's turn on the metronome and hit play. Good. Now let's take and move this set of clips to bar 3. Why are we moving them to bar 3? We're moving them to bar 3 so that we have time at the beginning of the session for a count in. And then we also have the ability, if ever in the future, not with this particular session, but as a practice, if you're working with external machines, external MIDI devices, you give those machines roll time to all come up to speed and sync with your session. So it's good to start your tracks at bar 3, your clips at bar 3. I can do this easily by going into spot mode. Click the clips, say go to bar 3, and now I'm starting my session at bar 3. Now we know that we mapped from the beginning of the session all the way to bar 9. So when we move the clips to bar 3, we know that they're sitting properly on the grid. So what we'll do here is from bar 3, we'll make a 4-bar selection. And let's count that. Good. And then we'll go from bar 7, another 4 bars. Well, let's go bar 7 to bar 9, 2 bars. Good. Now let's start at bar 9 and let's make a 4-bar selection. Now, it feels like 9, 2, 3, 4, 10, 2, 3, 4. It feels like at 11, the click is a little bit off. So what I can do is I can place a single bar beat marker as well. So I'm going to start at bar 9 and I'm going to listen. Right there. Take my selector tool. I'll put myself in slip mode. Take my selector tool, click here, and then I'm going to hit T to zoom in. Now right here with tab to transient, I can hit the tab key on the left of my QWERTY keyboard and tab to transients in the audio. So I'm hitting tab. All right, so that feels good. It's showing as bar 11. So I'll leave that at bar 11. And now I'm going to select 4 bars from bar 11. Something is amiss. Let's hear it. I'm going to turn the metronome off for a second. Tab to transient. Okay, that feels good. So still showing bar 11, 4-bar selection. Let's listen. Last night I packed all your bags. Last night That feels pretty good. I'll be a little bit surgical here. I'm going to click over by bar 15, hit T to zoom in, and just listen to how this phrase starts. Right here on the drums, I'm going to tab to transient. So that says 14-4. Well, if I start from bar 11, there we go. Hit R to zoom out. Now let's listen to it. I'm going to need to do the identify beat here. Last night I packed all your bags. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Okay, nice and clean. So, event, identify beat. So I didn't need to place the single bar beat marker. I'm still using this 4-bar span. So it starts at bar 11. 11 plus 4 is 15. Turn the metronome on. Last night I packed all your bags. Okay, let's go to bar 15. And then I'll make a 4-bar selection from bar 15. Listen to it. Set them out next to the trash. I'm set them out next Good. So we'll go from bar 19, 4-bar selection. And you'll map the whole song this way. Once you get into it, once you get the hang of it, you'll be very comfortable with it. But at the beginning, it can feel a little bit strange, and you need to slow down. And if you get confused, go back and watch the first video. Come in and start to watch the video again. If you picked a different song than War, apply the same principles to this and go at it and try it. If you get stuck, if you get confused, reach out to the leader of your section. Hey, I'd like to ask a few questions about tempo mapping, and we can help you in any way possible. Let's listen to this phrase. That feels a little sloppy. I'm going to go down to 2 bars here. See how right here, I'm not quite on that transient. I'm going to hit Shift and then hit Tab. Now I'm going to hit play again. Interesting. I'm going to try tabbing over here. I like that. So let's mark that. I like that. It's saying 191046. Let's mark that as bar 19. Okay. And I'm going to do 4 bars. Now what I'll do here is while it's playing back, when I know I'm getting close to where it's going to need to turn around, the selection is going to need to be the loop turnaround, I'm going to still hold Shift and I'm going to click close to where that transient is. You'll see here in just a second. 2, 3, 4. So Shift click because I'm trying to land right by this transient here. So Shift Tab. Now I'll listen to it. All right, so look, I'm a little bit over. So I'm going to hit Command I. That means I need to move bar 21. Look at the end selection up here. See the end selection's 21017, just a couple ticks over. So I'm going to Command I, identify beat, right? And then change this to bar 21. Now let's play. Now let's go. I'll do a couple more. 21. I'll go 4 bars from 21. I could do 2 bars, 4 bars, 8 bars. I like to stay within like the 2 or 4 bars. Sometimes you need to go all the way down to 1 bar or even more granular, but 4 is a good place. The click feels a little weird, so let's do our same thing. We know that I'm going to go into grid mode here. 21 works. So let's count it again from here. Remember, I'm going to do that thing where I hold Shift and then I click close to where I want to start to Shift Tab to the transient. So for now, I'm going to hold Shift and then click. And then once I get close to that transient, I'm going to Shift Tab to finish out the selection. 2, 2, 3, 4. Now I overshot it. That's okay. I'm going to hold Shift. Let me go back into slip mode. I'm going to hold Shift and I'm going to click before that, still holding Shift, hit Tab. Let me listen to this now. Identify beat. Event. Identify beat. Start position is correct. End position. 21 plus 4 is 25. So it's a little bit off on the grid. I'm moving the grid. I'm moving that end location to bar 25. There we go. Turn the metronome on. Play back. So then you would just keep moving through the session slowly. I'm going to repeat myself. I would go back and watch the first tempo mapping video again. Then come back in and start to watch this video again. Then start trying to apply it to your remix. It takes some time. You're not going to do this in 10 minutes. You're not going to do this in 15 minutes. It's going to take you a while. But if you keep watching the videos and if you keep trying it and if you keep thinking about it and if you get confused, reach out, ask questions. Don't be afraid to reach out. You will never inconvenience us with your questions. So please reach out and let us know how we can help with any section, especially with this tempo mapping stuff. So you're going to finish tempo mapping your whole entire session, and then you're going to go ahead and do your markers. Also remember that there's a part 2 to the remix guidelines. So you're going to need to submit screenshots of the work that you're doing in this session. So remember, make sure you're referencing back into the PDFs and carefully reading the PDFs so that you're connecting all the dots. One last thing, make sure that you tune into the live session. It's very easy to get just fixed on watching these videos, but the live session is going to go through the tempo mapping. It's going to go through setting the session up. It's going to be another layer, another level of what's going on in the remix. So if you make the live session, that's amazing. If you can at least go in and watch the archive links and get your mind saturated with all of these concepts, there'll be a building process and you'll just become it. You'll learn it by doing it. Let's move on to the next lesson and start creating some markers in our remix.